you need to represent the world. So in some sense, Microsoft's own goals around representation are all about ensuring that we have a very diverse workforce that then allows us to build the products and services that empower the world, which is our mission. In order to go make progress on it, one of the things that we do is really create transparency around these goals. In fact, each year we publish the report. We're just, getting ready to publish our next report for the year, where all of the data is available. And one of the things I also like is each year we publish more data, so there's more transparency. The data that also comes with metrics that you set. We have a clear set of goals. In fact, compensation, even at the highest level, including mine, are triggered by us hitting these goals. So overall, I feel that we have the right process, but a lot of progress that needs to be made. And one of the things that we're also focused on is not just about bringing people in, it's also about the inclusion, right? The culture of inclusion is an everyday exercise, right? It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, but what is the lived experience of every individual, right? Aggregate data sometimes, it doesn't really represent the lived experience for any individual. And so that's continuous process. You can never claim anything. All you can at least do is to have a culture that allows every leader, every manager, and every employee to have both the confidence as well as the introspection capabilities to say, let's just push and make sure that diversity and inclusion are key priorities for us.
Making sure that diversity and inclusion is a key priority for us. Microsoft reportedly fires DEI team, becoming latest company to ditch woke policy. There's something like cathartic about a minority individual having the boldness to cut out diversity, equity, and inclusion. But the model minority states that he probably doesn't feel like he's a minority in this situation, in this territory, in this industry. And I'm just constantly reminded of this quote by Audre Lorde. For the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They may allow us to temporarily to beat him at his own game, but they will never enable us to bring about genuine change. And this fact is only threatening to those women who still define the master's house as their only source of support. More than ever, as a black creator, as a black content creator, as a black person living, or as a black person that's on the job hunt currently, this screams out to me. I've never been woefully ignorant of the fact that no company has my best interest in it besides my skin color, but just outright. It'll never happen, and it'll never come to be. That's why it's so important for you to be able to find ways of supporting people regardless of their make or model if you find their content to be valuable. So at the beginning of this video, I planned on call to action. If you're finding anything here, like, share, subscribe, donate, whatever you can do, however you can help. But to sit here and before you there's a bunch of trolls in this comment that's going to be in this comment section. But to sit here and believe that some megaton company had the best interests of a bunch of people of color and we're going to put them at the forefront and keep them there, you're oblivious. You're oblivious. We're going to take a closer look at why they actually shut down this department and really talk about the delusion that comes with the aggression towards people who are being promised stuff that they're never really going to get, and the delusion of people who actually believe these companies have their best interests at heart. This might be loud for the people in the back. Yeah. What's up, everybody? How you doing? My name is Hero. This is Coding with Strangers, and I want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, you hear about it so much, you see it, but not too many people really understand it. Not too many people gracefully or woefully give it the due and credence it does. And then there's a group and a demographic of people. Those same people are going to be crying in the comment sections right now who will believe that this program is ruining everything that they love and hold and cherish to their heart, without acknowledging everything they seem to love, hold, and cherish seems to be, pretty dog water trash. Like, oh, they won't let women be objectified in games anymore. Relax. I'm pretty sure if they put Tony Stark in a Speedo, you guys wouldn't be all hopped up about that either, but I digress. I mean, he probably looks pretty good in a Speedo. I'm not. Who am I to judge the man of iron? Buns of steel. But this doesn't come as a surprise to me, as when I was at Afrotech, I witnessed Amazon fire 10,000 people while hosting a silent DJ party. So seeing this happen is pretty crazy. But also to see this person, Ariel Zimbar, I don't know who you are, but to use this as your headliner, well, it's the New York Post. I can't really expect much. I try to get the Business Insider one, but I definitely need a paywall remover. Somebody put a paywall remover in the comment section for me, or in the Discord. I need a paywall remover because I think they had better insight into this, but I didn't feel like paying $7.33 to read their shit. I could go on and on about this, and maybe I will for a little bit. I'm definitely calling out Afrotech. Afrotech is hosting their 25th annual convention. This Microsoft, John, and I think John Deere had a notice out yesterday. Both need to be removed from that list. There's no way in hell a company says that they're removing their diversity, equity, and inclusion department, and you invite them to an Afrocentric conference that is supposed to bolster the confidence of people of color in the industry's ability to find work and find a community at that work. And once again, this is coming from a person of color. This message from the top came from a person of color. It's so mind-boggling to me to see this. But when you don't feel you're part of the community, you don't feel you have to suffer consequences of that community. The model minority myth was defined for Southeast Asian and Indian individuals. That's they told them that on their way in. It's a common occurrence. So while it's easy for me to sit here and be a little bit ticked off, it's to be expected. When diversity, but it's also something that you have to understand, that I have to applaud when I see good. For 1 year, they were able to keep up this charade. Good on them. There was a lot of people that probably wouldn't have found work in that 1 year, and now they're back on in the rat race, looking for their next mode of employment, but is at the expense of poor, I mean atrocious game planning. And we'll talk about why Microsoft probably made this decision. We'll really dive into it, but let's see what they have to say. Microsoft has reportedly laid off a team devoted to diversity, equity, and inclusion after pouring millions of dollars into an initiative, becoming the latest major company to ditch woke policies. Like, I'm almost convinced this person doesn't know how damning this word is. It's just, once again, people not understanding what they're saying or doing, just following trends. The big tech giant disbanded the DEI team at the beginning of the month due to changing business needs, according to July 1st email obtained by Business Insider. It is unclear how many employees were affected. The decision was further signed that companies are pulling back on diversity-based initiatives that were put in place following the 2020 death of George Floyd and subsequent Black Lives Matter protest campaigns. Yeah, this person's delusional to think that a person being killed by an officer is going to make them do the right thing all of a sudden. Like, what? Like, and once again, we'll talk about why they did this, but it's mind-boggling to see the narrative. And I just want to implore you, don't fall into the easy trap, right? Don't fall into the easy trap. Business Insider probably would have been a lot more fair and balanced here, but this person is clearly here with an agenda, and I want to be able to understand what the dickheads in my comment section are going to be saying in order to justify this. But to think that a multi-billion-dollar company cares about a black person dying in the streets at the hands of police brutality, you don't understand capitalism. You don't understand capitalism. That's the easy way to. Last year, Google and Meta reduced the scope of their DEI programs and cut staff as part of a restructuring and layoff at both companies, according to CNBC. On Tuesday, tractor giant John Deere announced it will scuttle nearly all DEI policies in favor of quality-based workplace. That followed a decision last month by the farm chain retailer Tractor Supply axed all DEI goals and positions. Zoom, Snap, Tesla, DoorDash, Lyft, Home Depot, Wayfair also downsized their DEI teams. Overall, DEI-related jobs postings declined 44% mid-2023 compared to the same period of 2022. Microsoft had pledged to invest $150 million into its DEI push, which involved doubling the number of Black and Hispanic leaders by 2025. Guess they won't reach that goal, right? They made a promise to do something. They gave up on it. And keep in mind, $150 million. That's an important number. As we move forward, our DEI commitments remain unchanged. I think it's pretty much changed. You fired the department. I think you've changed your mind definitively. Microsoft spokesperson Jeff Jones told the Post, "Our focus on diversity and inclusion is unwavering." Sure. And we are holding firm on our expectations, prioritizing accountability, and continuing to focus on this work. Microsoft July 1st email was met with blowback from unnamed DEI team members and leaders. The workers fired off a missive to thousands of fellow employees that same day, lamenting the fact that true systems change work associated with DEI programs everywhere and no longer business critical or smart as they were in 2022, according to BI, Business Insider. Microsoft was among scores of blue chip companies that sought to bolster their workforces by hiring from a more diverse pool of candidates in the wake of May 20th police involved death of Floyd, a black man who died while being arrested by Minneapolis police officers. He didn't die; he was murdered. This article is dog water. It's so clear. It's dog water. So you hear the point. But I read this article on purpose because I just want to point out a lot of the accuracies. Now, what can we take from this? $150 million. Let's start there. That was how much they decided to invest in this, right? But you want to know what's the real reason for probably this blowback? It's the money. It's always the money. And you want to know something that Microsoft probably isn't too proud about, which is, their stock prices being down 4% after making such an announcement, but also the fact that Microsoft's near-term fate is in OpenAI's hands for better or for worse, right? Because Microsoft, in the last 4 years, or in the last 3 years, in total, is invested in OpenAI's reportedly $13 billion. To OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, highlighting a salient reality that Microsoft's near and long-term fate is in AI's arms race lies squarely with OpenAI. $13 billion seems like a real push for an initiative and change. And the push for their Copilot plus PC, which everyone seems to be terrified of because it's basically a snitch on me device. And we already know that Microsoft isn't known for holding hot water, as they can't stop breaches coming from the left or the right. So they have their money elsewhere. And if they don't get a return on investment on here, they need to go ahead, cut some shit off that they don't think is important to them. And it's so important for us to see when times get tough, who your real friends are, right? Who are your real friends? right? Who who's gonna be there to watch it back? Because their diversity, equity, and inclusion didn't make them make this mistake. No one from diversity, equity, and inclusion told them to invest $13 billion blindly into some random AI when literally the thing you're investing doesn't even meet the definition of what you're calling it. But you can't blame this on diversity, equity, and inclusion. This was their decision from the top down, right? But another thing that people need to understand strictly from their website, you need to understand when money is being reported on. July 16th, 2024. Today is July 17th, 2024. Their quarterly earnings report came out, and this is going to cover them till the end of the year, which means if they met their quota for their diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're going to be able to write off X amount on their taxes. Guess what? They met those quotas, so they fired the department. This is as clear as day. Don't believe me? Let's take it a step further. And this was just to show their stocks are down after the announcement from 2 days down 3% yesterday, down 1% today. The mixed nuts. I think that's a great question. We've seen Forbes do an analysis in 2020 all the way up until 2023 that showed that companies that invested in diversity, equity, and inclusion had an increase in revenue profit by 36%. You want to know who was the top leading three for this research? Microsoft, Facebook, and Google. It's mindless self-indulgence to think that a more diverse team gives you more avenues to run. You know how many dumbass ads have been ran at the expense of there not being one person of color or one person from the community to, just raise their hand and say, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't put that black person into a washing machine, turn it on, and then they come out as white. That's probably not a good idea. That's actually a commercial I saw in Japan. It was crazy. So there's going to be a lot of people that say diversity, equity, and inclusion isn't profitable. The Forbes 2-year research into this topic proves otherwise. That companies that invest in it with a passion of genuine article are 36% more profitable. Because Microsoft wants to qualify for those write-offs at the end of the year, the government hands them down contracts. But once again, it wasn't because of diversity, equity, and inclusion that they had a data breach that was so large and made them vulnerable to the Chinese government, and they had to pay a fine for this, right? Our U.S. government is still paying them, even though they can't maintain the proper security for their company. They can't do it. And another thing that then becomes innately jarring in this situation is Microsoft Oracle receives the government estimated $10 to $15 billion annual spending in IT services. Most importantly, Microsoft Cloud product Azure shares $110 billion the DoD contract for cloud computing granted in 2022 in a split Google, Oracle, and Amazon deal. Our taxpayer money is going into companies that don't believe in the diversity and inclusion that our government is required to upkeep. And there's a part of me that says maybe our tax dollars shouldn't be used to fund companies that don't believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our government does it without question. So maybe we shouldn't invest in them. They shouldn't be allowed to invest in them. It's one of the weirder situations that will come into play as the time goes on and as we get to learn more. But a few things here that absolutely need to be pointed out. No company in our year of 2024, our Lord and Savior in coding, has a vested interest in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Their only interest is in making money. That has been the interest since the beginning. It will be the interest when the world is withered up and gone. They want to make money. So they will send people to go to your conference. They will send people out to your colleges because they have a budget. And if they don't spend money, and anybody who works in corporate America knows, if you don't spend it, you're going to lose it. Don't use it, you lose it. So, of course, they're going to do some weird ass shit like, oh, well, let's do this. Let's invest in this. $150 million was their target goal. And by 2025, it's 2024. Halfway into 2024. A year after making the promise. They've already given up. But they were willing to sink $13 billion into a maybe. OpenAI. I can still trick fucking ChatGPT into spelling strawberries with no R. So, while it's easy to sit here and point the finger and say that it's because of woke policies, which is just another way of saying you don't like black people. It's just weird. You're not about to sit here and deny the fact that literally this country was built off of immigrants' back. It was stolen from a group of people who were already here, and the capitalistic way of making money in this country has been leeching off people. And the weirder thing is, a bunch of poor people are going to sit here and defend and cheer Microsoft for doing what they consider to be the right thing, while literally having all of their information stolen from them, being breached out of this world, and not being any better off in the economy for it. There's this sadistic mindset where because people see other people doing well, they can't stand it. There's a group of people who just don't want to see other people be great. And it's dog water. If you're living that life, seek help. There's so many other things to hate in this world, like Microsoft's poor decision and distasteful state of mind for being able to openly say a year ago that they've benefited from diversity, equity, and inclusion, and showed charts on how they benefited from it, how their company improved and how their company increased in revenue generation from diversity, inclusion, and outreach. They were able to tap into a new market. But now they got the market data, so they don't need the department that did it for them. And that just goes to show you that they look at making money as a means to the end, and not a value purpose. But I could rage on this for days, weeks. It's everything I'm built in. Yeah, I could do this I could do this all day. But tell me what you guys think. I know a bunch of you will be mad in the comment section. That's fine. I'll put a bot on you. It'll be fine. But if you genuinely have like input on this, I'm curious to know. Why do you think companies are doing this? Why do you think companies are lamenting the promises they made after doing so well? We'll see. Like, share, subscribe. All right, we're done.